I cannot believe that I am giving Jackson his very first baby haircut. Jackson is 8 months old and I have not cut his hair at all. I was tempted to cut his hair when he was getting like the bald spots in the back of his head, but his dad said no. So I waited because he said no. And so now Jackson's 8 months old, and technically I could just do a little baby trim. I definitely wanted to actually give him a full-on haircut because if you look right here, he has this little pigtail going on. It's so long right here, so I decided that I'd just give him a full-on haircut. Now for Jackson, I just have him in a little bumbo right now, and he's strapped in so that I could reach all of his hair. I've got my scissors, and I've got a water bottle full of warm water. I have a comb, and I've got 2 clippers. I may not use both the clippers. I'm just gonna kind of see what he does and what he will allow me to do because he is just a baby and it doesn't need to be a full-on haircut, but I will cut as much as he will let me and as much as he will sit here for me. And then last but not least, I've got some treats. Usually when I cut little kids' hair, I always give them a sucker to suck on because it kind of distracts them. But for Jackson, I've got some little rice cakes that I'll let him chew on while I'm cutting his hair. Okay, before we get into the haircut, I am just going to do a little disclaimer. This is not necessarily a how-to haircut. It's just showing you guys what I'm doing, and if you guys can catch a couple of tips and tricks, that would be great. But I'm gonna go ahead and get started with this cape so that he does not get too itchy with all of his hair on him. And I guarantee he will try and eat it. Can I strap this over you? Oh, can I get your arms over? Where's your little arms? Do you want your arms over? Where's your little arm? Oh, there we go. There, now I will give him a couple treats to eat. Do you want one of these? I'm going to get started with doing the clippers on the back of Jackson's hair. If that's all he lets me do, that's fine because the back of his hair is a lot longer than the sides of his hair. And what I always do with little kids is I turn on the clippers and I let the little kids actually touch the clippers. That way they can make the relation that it's not going to cut their heads. Now Jackson's just 8 months old, he may not even notice, but I'm going to do it anyway. That way he gets used to his mom cutting his hair while he grows up. And I'm just gonna let him kind of touch it because the moment I put it on his head, I'm sure he's gonna wonder what's on my head and he's gonna be looking around. So do you want to touch that? I've even put it on kids' cheeks before and let them feel the vibration on their cheeks. Okay, his first little cut. He is getting some treats right now from his dad. And he also has some toys down here to just keep him distracted a little bit. And I'm not going very far up because if Jackson decides that he doesn't want me to keep doing this, I can kind of blend it with my fingers the rest of the way. So I'm not going to go very high up with the clippers. And see the sides of his hair, he really has no hair right there anyway. So this is just kind of blending it. Thickest of Jackson's hair right here, and you can already tell just by going over it once, all of that thickness is pretty much gone, and that tail is pretty much gone too. I'm just going to go over it a couple more times, that way I can get some of the hairs that I've missed. Guys, I just finished cutting the sides of Jackson's hair, and this is just a little clump to show you how much hair we've cut. He's even shocked. I actually cut quite a bit of hair just on the sides of his head, and that I think is crazy. I didn't really think he needed the sides of his hair cut, but just by trimming it, it took a lot of that bulkiness off of the sides. Now, normally with guys or men or kids, I'll take the little peanut clippers, these little things, and I will go around the sides of his neck and around the ears. But he is a baby, his skin is really sensitive, so So I'm gonna see if I want to even do that at the end of the haircut, and depending on what everything looks like. So I'll make that call at the very end of the haircut. So now I'm just gonna cut the top and kind of blend it, and he'll be good to go. So all baby's hair grows really uneven. So if I comb it up, I can see that there is like 10 long hairs about right here, and then the rest of his hair kind of is more blunt around here. So that is why, even though his hair isn't that long up top, that's why I'm gonna trim it. So that way, when I put gel in it, it will actually spike and not be so crazy long. I took a whole bunch of before and after pictures. I'll show you guys how big of a difference it really is. But I'm just gonna go along Jackson's hair and just cut off maybe just an inch just off that top. And I really won't have to take an inch everywhere because it's just really long up front right here. Over here, I'm just gonna trim it probably just a ½ inch or so because it's not as long right here on the sides of his head versus the middle. It's longer right here. My water bottle actually just broke, so I'm just gonna put a little bit of water in a cup and dip my comb inside the cup so that I can kind of get Jackson's hair a little bit wet. And it's funny because Jackson's hair right here, when I lift it up, half of his forehead shows, and he doesn't even have any hair there. It's still just growing. So like when I do lift this hair up, this is like already back a couple inches from his hairline just because his little baby hair is still growing in. But I'm just gonna lift everything up nice and straight. So after that first initial trim, this very first cut that I made, that's my guide for the rest of the haircut. So I'm just gonna comb back, straight back. I'm gonna pull the hair back on my finger, and I can see right here is my guide. So I'm just going to cut and follow that guide the rest of the haircut. So I originally went straight down Jackson's head and I cut everything this way. Now I'm going the opposite way and I'm starting on this side of his head, and I'm just double checking and making sure there's no extra long hairs and that everything is pretty even. So this is called cross-checking. So I'm just going back through and cross-checking everything and making sure everything is nice and even. So his hair is blended pretty nicely, but you can see there's a little line right here. Now if he doesn't let me do this, I'm just gonna not worry about it. But if he will, I'll take my comb and I'm gonna lift straight up, and I'm just gonna trim this little bit right here to kind of blend that line. Awesome. That looks good. I'm just gonna go on this side and do the same thing. Okay, I think that is it with Jackson's haircut. The very last thing I really want to do is I don't really care to go up around his ears because he really doesn't have any crazy long hairs there. And baby's skin and old people's skin is very sensitive, so you are more likely to cut their skin. Now, these trimmers, especially the hair, just the hair clippers, these I've never cut anyone with. I mean, it's pretty safe. These little trimmers that go around the ears and neck, it's a little bit different. You can nick people. I have actually nicked a kid before because his skin was just so thin and sensitive. It's the saddest thing when it happens and you feel really bad. So if Jackson's gonna let me, I really would like to just trim his neckline. So if I can have his dad hold his head and he doesn't scream or anything, I'll just trim his neckline really quick. So that looks pretty good because the sides of Jackson's hair anyway over here, you can see is a lot shorter because he has this cowlick that all of his hair is kind of going towards the middle anyway, so it's a lot shorter. So I really did just want to get that little centerpiece, and we did that. So thanks for holding his head, Jared.
You're welcome.
Okay, there are two different styling products that I like to use on Jackson's hair. One is called Zest and it is from Lush. It is this jelly-like consistency that is a medium to strong hold. If he brushes his hair, if he takes a nap, it's gonna take it out. So really, I don't use it all that much. The next, I love it, it's just from Walmart, it's got to be glued. I put this in his hair, he takes naps, he goes to bed, he wakes up. His hair is in the same spot. But I do tend to like to part Jackson's hair. So if I part it, I like to take just a little bit of the hair zest and rub it in my hand. And I brush it through his hair, and then I take a little comb and I just kind of comb it over to the side. So this is kind of what it looks like just parted. But I like to spike it. I like to kind of spike it all up, or I like to just spike the front up. And that's when I use the Got To Be gel, but you have to shake it pretty good. And this stuff dries really fast, so if you don't get it working, you're not gonna make it in time. You have to hurry. So the first thing I like to do with his hair is just lift the front up. This is how Jackson's dad does his hair. He just does the very front like this, and I really like that. But sometimes I like to really spike it and do a little faux hawk. So that's what we'll do today, is just a cute little faux hawk. And that is it. That is his little faux hawk. What do you think? You're so cute. Well, that is my little son's very first haircut. I'm glad that you guys took the time to watch this. If you did like it, make sure to thumbs up. I do videos Tuesdays and Fridays, so make sure to subscribe if you would like to see more. Thanks for watching. Say goodbye. Bye, everyone. Say goodbye. Thanks for watching.